Well, let's see what we can do about that.
I've been, I'll show you where I live. Lots of snow.
I can work around it. It's okay. I'll be careful not to.
Okay.
Someone says I'm just getting older, but it's supposed to be. And then I have to tap in all of them, and then it's born. Right?
We're learning to have that little egg timer on.
Yeah. All right, you want to see a funny video? Snow. Wet. Nuts. Anyway. Anyway, how are you guys?
Yeah, the week before.
Yeah.
Just all set my office. Malcolm is so cold and crap. Give my dad one. Yeah, it was well like this.
Were you said you were rain today?
We were, our training got canceled, so I got relocated to Montana. Beautiful to visit down there. Almost went out there, but it was like,
Kaya ko muna this up.
maybe tomorrow. This week, this month, we gotta do our time, 500 spend time. Every year we do 1,000, 500, battle board, and 100 by 20. Every year, we just gotta do it because we can get fired.
That's why no fun.
Yeah.
That's why not everybody can be one.
But the weather is too crappy. And then we refresh on some chapters of our test. We got a lot of changes. I don't know how we're gonna pull it off, to be honest. We gotta refresh our
Can't fight that from other people too, right? Oh, the hat. Smart man.
I never go this week. So now, wet, but not bad. But you just got a lot of plants in the ground, so I'm all happy. Really? For real? Your water, you're way better than
Take the time to do that.
Thank you.
Calling to order the South Maui Community Plan Advisory Committee at 5:30 p.m. And let's start with a roll call.
Chair Rob Wellman, Vice Chair Danielle Kanahele, Tova Callender, Everett Dowling, Lipuanani Huddleston Avoka, Vernon Kalani Cal, Randolph Leach, Mike Moran, Cody Nemitz, Wayne Shiggy, Kyoki Falzer, Jennifer Sullivan,
Here.
and Brian Ward. I'll let the record show that all members are present.
That's nice, first time in a long time. Wonderful. Vilina mai nā lala o ke komi ke o lala o kai ulu no ka papa ho o lala no Maui hama. Vilina mai no hoi ka poe o ke ena ho o lala o ke kalana o Maui a me ka leho leho o Maui ne. E ho le mua kako i ke ahi ahi ke kuka ana i ngā i kamahana no ka ho o pono pono ana i ka vai mai uka mai a hiki ke kai. I ka vai hiki mai. Ma hope e ho le mua kako e kuka e pivi ana i ngā i kama kulekele a me ngā i kamahana. No ka dole ana o ke aniau a me nā pō inu li ke ole no hoi a me e la a me ka pō ino i ahi, ka pō ino ahi. So we still don't have live streaming on AQOJno. Maybe next time. It's been next time for the last five weeks. So I really hope next time is next time. So I'm live streaming on Facebook again for those who, because people keep asking me when you're going to be live streaming, and we still don't have the ability to testify remotely. And the order.
Chair Weltman, may I?
I'm sorry, yes.
I'd like to make a motion to change the agenda a little bit. Under item B, I would like to make a motion that we start with B2. That's where we left off at our last meeting. I believe Mauka to Makai Watershed Management. We just have a few more actions left. I think if we take care of that first off, sort of like the appetizer, then we'll really get into the meat. There's a lot of meat in section 2, the policies that we're going to be looking at again from section 2. So that's my motion.
Is there a second? Second from Brian. Any objections? Okay. Okay. Opening for public testimony on Goal 4 actions, where Goal 4 is Mauka to Makai Watershed Management, and policies and actions for Goal 3, which is ready and resilient systems. So opening testimony for those two items to the public. Going once.
For public testimony?
Yes.
I was apologizing because I took all the agendas from the table. And people came in after me and there's no agendas for it. Thank you, Chair Weltman, and nice to see every face here from the CPAC. Thank you for your service. My name is Lucienne Diné. I'd like to testify on the matters today. The 2.4, these actions that are supposed to address the monitoring that we need for our beneficial outcomes for watersheds. They're great actions. I'm not sure what relationship they have to monitoring. They seem more like mitigation, and that's great. But monitoring is more like seeing how we're doing so that we can understand better what our mitigation should be. So I just, as a person who's been a project manager of a number of long-term projects here for land over the years, just point that out, that you really need to kilo. You need to be looking and seeing how things are doing and then designing your mitigations for it. And then moving to goal 2.3, great policies in there, great actions in there. Particularly great to see the managed retreat fleshed out some options for the future. We're going to need those options, so it's nice to have some sort of actions that reflect them. We may not have to take all those actions, but even if we have to take some, it's nice that they're covered. And especially, I was appreciative to see a new fire station, Malka. I think that makes a lot of sense, since the current one is sort of adjacent to a part-time wetland. And also the 3.07 with the cultural resources survey to determine if there are cultural resources, important cultural resources, that are going to be at risk of sea level rise or other hazards. So thank you for your work on this, and very glad that you have taken the time to do a thorough job and look at what could be in our new policy. Since this is going to sit around for 20 years, we might as well think big. Mahalo.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions? Kyoki?
Hello, Lucian. Thank you for coming again and sharing your manao. So I concur your thoughts on continued monitoring. I don't know if you were here the night when Kelly King was here.
I've missed two meetings.
She
yeah.
proposed a possible committee after the committee to monitor. So hopefully that will be something we'll revisit at some point in time. Just wanted to make you aware.
That's great to hear.
Thank you.
Other clarifying questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next testifier, please.
My name is Tapani Wari. Thank you for having me here, Honorable CPAC. I know many of you. For those who do not know me, I'm the General Manager at Maui Ocean Center. I'm also a board member with Malaya Village Association, that is the local community in Malaya. I am also a board member with Maui Ocean Center Marian Institute. We are currently working at Honolulu Bay, as you've seen in the news. Couple things I was thinking, since I have only 3 minutes here, what would be really helpful for you, as you look at this plan. I deal with the wastewater issue in Malaya, and it all comes down to money, really. And I think it's great to have all these plans and policies, but when I start saying words like actions, to me that means money. And I work in the for-profit sector, and I understand what it takes to generate cash flow and make things happen. And we are our challenge with the regional wastewater treatment facility in Malaya has been how do we find funding for this? We believe we can value engineer it. We had actually a very good meeting with EPA earlier this week, and this project is actually listed as a number 6 on the priority list for the state of Hawaii and EPA, along with 107 all other governmental projects. So the focus really has to be on getting funding and how we can accomplish a lot of these things. The other issue I wanted to share with you is to encourage you and challenge you to look at, and I think I see it here already to a large extent, but really look at the holistic approach. If I may share a quick story, when we were closed for COVID for 306 days, I actually was hands-on project manager, or the facilities and operations manager, and I attended the Chief Engineers Conference in Grand Wailea while we were down, and there were maybe about 125 different chief engineers, and there's only one topic there. Everybody just talked about how can we build bigger walls, seawalls, to prevent the sea level rise coming and threatening our properties. And finally, I had to stand up because I had heard enough, and I said, look everyone, we are really looking at the wrong direction. We need to turn 180 degrees, look at Mauka, and really fix the watershed before we can even hope that we can prevent shoreline erosion happening. When you look at the absolute sea level rise, it's actually I would say over 40 years, it's been 3.1 inches, if I'm not mistaken, looking at all the data. Of course, then there's relative sea level rise with the land, 3 minutes up, if I may continue a little bit.
Should we let him continue? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. If you look at the relative sea level rise, that varies, of course, but you know, here in Hawaii, 2020, we had 301 303D classified marine embayments. That means impaired marine embayment here in Paradise. How is that possible? Sedimentation, excessive sedimentation, and excessive nutrients are really the two main drivers for that. So to me, again, things go to the watershed. So let's look at the Mauka and really focus on fixing the watershed. And one more thing, quick thing, if I may add, I think it's important that we really incorporate in the plan the indigenous, areas that have been important, that have been forgotten for many years. In Ma'alaya specifically, Pu'uhele is very important. I don't know how many of you actually know this, but we used to have a kapoli there. This is a freshwater spring. This unfortunately was actually, a restroom was built on top of that, and this kapoli actually went away. And this kapoli actually provided fresh water in Malaya Harbor. This is what Nehu actually came into the harbor for. And Nehu was the bait fish for Aku, and this was the dynamic before we had whale watching and tourism and all that. So all these actions, they impact, and there's a chain reaction. So all I'm saying is we should really be respectful of the environment and really try to be mindful of the changes we are looking to do, and don't think we have all the answers all the time. So I think my time is up. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Wayne?
Tapani, I'm amazed at your sincerity. Are you a member of the Condo Association along with the commercial people at Malaya?
I'm a board member at Malaya Triangle Association as well. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that.
I notice a lot of cesspools in your area. Have you had meetings to discuss this problem?
I'm part of the State of Hawaii cesspool working group. In the State of Hawaii, we have 88,000 cesspools. Here in Maui, we have 12,000. Why does this matter? This matters because we have untreated effluent basically going into the watershed. This was my point earlier, what I said, excessive sedimentation and excessive nutrients. This is the main reason also why I'm so involved 4 years now with the regional wastewater treatment facility for Malaya, so we can get all the injection wells. It's actually a technical word, term is injection wells, sir. So this is actually in the whole area, community of Malaya. What we are trying to do is actually take the whole community and fold it under a regional wastewater treatment facility. We believe we can do this very cost effectively, and we can deliver technology that is superior to today's technology, what we have here. We have innovative team and a lot of resources available. So we're very excited about it.
Other questions? Kyoki, and then Daniel.
Aloha Tabani, thank you for coming. Thank you for your time. This wastewater facility, I know the new administration is just starting up only been only a few months. Have you had any talks with the new administration, or where are you with this?
We will be meeting Mayor Bisson next week and debriefing him of the issue. He has been aware what's going on, and he did publicly support the project during the campaigning, and so that's on his record. So I think he's supported, but we'll find out.
Thank you for your work on that, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Daniel?
Hi, Tapani.
Hello.
Welcome to the CPAC.
Thank you.
Is the $11 million that the previous council earmarked and the mayor agreed to set aside for the wastewater project in Ma'alai. Is that money still there?
This was actually $9.5 million. So far the financial journey has been, we received $33,000 from Maui OED to do the LiDAR survey on the shoreline. That has now been completed by Fukumoto Engineering. We applied for $1.25 million GIA grant from the state of Hawaii. They approved $250,000. That should be forthcoming shortly here. We now have a contract in place. Like I mentioned earlier, we had a meeting with EPA. We are number 6 on the priority list within a group of 107 other priorities statewide. So most likely we will get this $9.5 million through SRF funding. We've been also in discussions with Senator Brian Schatz, and he's looking to get Biden earmarks funding from the Biden infrastructure funding, and maybe somewhere around 1.2 or something like that. We'll see the actual quantity, what it may end up being.
What is the estimated cost for building the wastewater treatment plant and the infrastructure at Ma'alai?
Right now, the placeholder we have, based on the estimates we have done, we are looking about $9.5 million, but we seem to be adding more things like PV. We actually want to see this become net zero project. It's going to probably end up costing a little bit more, but it is going to be in that vicinity. Per toilet, that's how, or per bedroom, I'm sorry, that's usually how these things are measured. At that level, the cost is about $12,500 per bedroom. Usually when you see municipal projects, they are around 40, 50K. Thank you.
Sir, it is easy to see government as your piggy bank. When is private industry going to step up to the plate?
I'm sorry, when is?
It is easy to see government as your piggy bank.
Yep.
When is private people going to step up to the plate to participate?
Actually, this is part of the dynamic. So the local community, they are responsible for removing their injection wells. The existing, 3 of them have failed already out of 10. They are responsible for the removal, cleaning, and then the connection to the force main that will be installed on Mauka of Haole Street. When we started speaking with the Maui County originally, the message was very clear. We do not have funding. We do not have engineering staff. So that's one thing I would publicly here like to state. We, as a county, we need to get more engineers on staff here so we can really look at these infrastructure projects and execute them. And of course, money is the other side. But private entities or the owners in that area, they're also responsible. They need to have skin in the game. The initial wastewater feasibility survey actually started by 2 of the condominiums paying $10,000, and then Malaya Triangle Association, the commercial area, paying $10,000, so that was 30. And Council Member Kelly King at that time, she added $6,000. So she wanted to have an addendum to see what would be the cost of conveyance to Waikapu, with Mike Atherton now developing that area. So that was done at the same time. It became very clear very fast that it needs to be a decentralized regional plant. That is the most cost-effective way of doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Further clarifying questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next testifier.
Hi everyone, I'll be brief. Larry Stevens, testifying on my own behalf. I was up at the Makawao Forest this weekend, and I have some news from the ground to tell you. The pigs have taken over, and now there are pig ruts all over the forest. And I think this is just another sign that we got to get up there, we got to get some fencing, we got to get some ungulate control, because all that dirt that those guys exposed is going to come down our mountain and make our water brown again in the next storm or two. So just a little bit from the ground. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Daniel?
Larry, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. What forest were you at?
This is the Makawa Forest.
Oh, Makawa. Okay, thank you.
Further clarifying questions? Next speaker, please, or next testifier. Okay, closing testimony once, twice, gone. Okay, public testimony closed. So, okay, we are going to start on the remaining actions under goal 4, waste watershed management. And let's see, we finished 4.12, so the next one is 4.13. However, there were a couple of suggestions that would fit right in there in the previous group of restoration. And so I just wanted to check what you guys think about that. One was from the planning department, provide resources, very appropriate here, provide resources for the protection and rehabilitation of riparian zones with feral ungulate fencing and native plants. So I'm just going to read these up, and then if anyone wants to make a motion, then we'll discuss them. And if possible, put that up on the screen so everyone can see what we're talking about.
We're here.
This is
It's on my screen, it's just not
okay.
there.
It's at the bottom of the page which says 136.
Oh, it's so weird.
Oh.
I can't see it on my screen.
Oh, really?
All right, here we go. Let's look at that.
It's a little further up.
This is the planning department.
This is an additional one which is proposed by the planning department. Provide resources for the protection and rehabilitation of riparian zones, feral ungulate fencing, and native plants.
So moved.
Okay, so we have a motion. Second by Tova. Okay, discussion. Any objections? Okay, finally we have added an action, provide resources for the protection and rehabilitation of riparian zones with feral ungulate fencing and native plants. The next one proposed by the planning department is develop and implement a plan for R1 reuse. And Michael Reyes proposed a kind of a similar one, but a little more wordy. Support R1 reuse on the landscape to mitigate for axis deer damage, recharge depleted aquifers, and provide forage for livestock, local food security. This is on the same page, the bottom of 136. So I think if a motion is made, it should be for one of the two, not for both, because they're kind of overlapping. One is the superset. Is there a motion? I'd say that actually, when I think about it, Michael's text is more of a policy than an action, since it says to support reuse, whereas the planning department says to develop and implement a plan, so that's more of an action. Tova?
referring back to language that I suggested a month and a bit ago. It's a take on this accelerate funding for R1 reuse on the landscape to mitigate for access, deer damage, recharge depleted aquifers, and provide forage for livestock. The reason I've added the accelerated funding is we currently do have plans for R1 reuse. That's not where the holdup is. The holdup is having the capacity and the money to kind of move it through faster. And if we learned anything when we were doing our bit on the water issues for the south side, it's criminal that we are not reusing all of this R1 water. So I think something that speaks to prioritizing the funding to get it done is what we need.
Now things are coming back to me. It's kind of faded in my memory, but yes, that was a long time ago. And I actually wrote to Director Eric Nakagawa and asked him, isn't there a plan already? Because it's good to know before we say create a plan, whether there already is a plan. But he hasn't responded. But I agree. It's the funding that's missing, not the plan, as far as I know. So, I think, are you the only one who has that text?
You all have it in your tidy binders where everything is organized by date. It's pink.
It's pink.
Can you reread it?
I think it's pretty much what Michael said, but the beginning is accelerate funding for R1 reuse. And then the rest is the text that Michael has.
Are you gonna make a motion, Tova?
Yes, please.
I second that motion.
Seconded by Daniel. So please read the whole thing from the beginning, just so we all know.
Accelerate funding for R1 reuse on the landscape to mitigate for access, deer damage, recharge depleted aquifers, and provide forage for livestock. Local food security.
Discussion? Any objections? Okay, fine, we've added an action to accelerate funding for R1 reuse. And then we had, this has come up in a couple ways. I mentioned this earlier too, but Charlene Schulenberg also proposed purchasing wetlands with 7 TMKs, and we had this as a testimony by Kelly King in the past as well, and designated as open space protected lands in perpetuity. So these are wetlands in North Kihei. They're not all right by the, they're kind of spread out. Some of them are together, but some of them, actually I think I did make a map that showed them, right? I did that earlier, yeah. It showed exactly where they are. But these are placed, and the reason for this, of course, is because we don't want to build there. This is what's stopping the stormwater from running into the oceans, and we don't want people to have their houses destroyed by stormwater either. So that's the reason. Yes.
And I did miss the meeting about this, but so the properties are owned by who?
A whole bunch of individual. It's not all one. They're not contiguous. They're kind of spread out.
Okay, and so the purchase, so they are deemed wetlands though, or by the property owners, or I'm a little bit confused. So they want to make these officially wetlands, so buy them from the property owners. What do we? Can you explain that again?
The proposal is that the county come up with money to buy them. Preserve them.
And have the owners been contacted? Are they willing to do it, or is this something?
I think it's a mix, actually. Most of them would be very happy to get rid of those because they know they're never going to develop them.
It's because they can't develop, it's not
Right.
permitted.
Right.
Okay, because it's deemed wetlands.
Right.
Okay, so I just wanted to confirm that. And the cost for these, we'll just vote on it and then, how does this work?
There was an amount in Kelly's letter to the mayor, right? Does someone have that? It's like 5.8 million, or I forget how much it was exactly. Brian?
I guess maybe it's an ignorant question, but if they're deemed wetlands and they can't be developed, why do we have to buy them?
They are not deemed wetlands. They are flood zones primarily, and they do actually have development rights. So this is where maybe a transfer of development rights. There's other ways to do this, but purchasing the word wetland is not appropriate here.
So that's why I asked, so if I could I continue? So that's the reason I asked. I don't want to vote on something if it's not going to mean anything in terms of what it's deemed. So you just confirmed that it's not deemed wetlands. Do I agree with not building on it? So the motion to vote on this is to proceed with the possibilities of purchasing them from these owners?
What about explore and fund, if possible, the purchase of the TMKs to prevent development in flood zones?
Rob.
Brennan?
Can you get point of information from someone in the audience? Is that possible?
Sorry, say it again?
Point of information from
Say-
someone from the audience? Is that
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Lucian. So, I intervened in this project. It's like 44 acres, but only a portion, like a very small portion of it is designated as wetland, but 1 TMK. So what would the proper language, be for what we trying to do here? Because you know what I mean, it's only just a portion of it, but then there's like 44 acres of it. So are we talking wetland or TMK designation, or we suggesting some of these parcels, like 44 acres, be changed into open space? I just talking out loud. Maybe you might have some background on this, Lucian.
I'm happy to provide what I have. I read the letter that Kelly King sent, but my understanding was the parcels she identified were along 2 gulches, Waipuilani and Kulani Hakoi. And the ones along Kulani Hakoi, 2 had partial development rights, 2 parcels did, 1 had no development rights. I mean, basically, they are where the river floods, is where these parcels are. The ones along Waipuilani, kind of similar. They're where the water goes, and then 1 is sort of adjacent to where the water goes. They didn't have the Welakahau parcel listed there. They didn't have the Sugata parcel listed there. They didn't have those other parcels listed. Only those 2 gulches were reflected in this request. And several of the, I think there were 7 parcels listed, or 8, and at least 3 of them had no development rights. In the county website, it just said, no taxation. It's not a usable piece of property for development because it floods. It's a flood zone, basically.
Could you put up the map, because it has the TMK numbers on it as well?
Thank you, Lucian. So, what about the gulches? Can we work on the gulches being open spaces?
I think once you see the map, you'll see that these are the gulches. I mean, the 2 main gulches anyway. It's still cut off at the top and the bottom, but those are, that's most of it, I guess. There's one at the top and there's one at the bottom as well. I think you can see where the gulches are.
Yeah, so that's why Puilani, the one on the bottom. So, yeah, Garrett.
Yeah, for clarification, some of these may already have some pre-existing approvals on it. So again, I believe the one southernmost on the map, again, has been pre-approved for an affordable housing project.
But there is a portion that that does have some impacts from the floodway.
Sorry, I think the battery just died out on me. So, but again, I think overall, there could be the potential for pursuing, some possible funding opportunities to look at acquisitions. But again, at least for that one parcel, I know there already is some developments that's been slated and design underway and construction and so forth. At least fire breaks.
So the top one is Kulani Hako'i, right? So now maybe we get a chance, right, Garrett? As far as plans and because this is something I brought up a long time ago. I know somebody know the answer, but until I knock on the right door, how you own one gouge? Like Kulani Hako'i. How you own that. And then it changed hands. And then it became separate TMKs in one gouge. But maybe because it was never designated as an open space. I don't know. So the one on the bottom, there's not so much we can do, right? Or maybe we get a chance with Kulani Hako'i because there's no plans in right now. And the other question, maybe I gotta recuse myself because of certain projects I might be engaging into. So maybe I should just disclose that right now. Yeah.
So just as information, that the top one there, that gulch, that's the one that KC has been working on for decades to make a greenway. It's supposed to be a greenway that goes all the way from South Kihei Road up under the highway where the high school is, up into the MRTP. So this would have been wonderful, and it was in the works, and the county was trying to buy those properties, but then the developer snapped them up, hoping to be able to develop in the wetland. Kind of ridiculous.
I changed my mind. I like to talk some more. So the guy, I don't know if Mike was over our house, but the owners, they was gonna sell them for $400,000. The entire Kulani Hako'i. And I said, oh, it's not bad, yeah, but still, how you own one gouge? And then they was gonna donate it to like Hill, but they didn't want the liability of what it causes to the adjacent properties. So Parks was interested for like probably a day, but they didn't want the liability. So here we are. Yeah, just stuck on this whole thing. Because then they went from 400 to a couple million, and I'm just saying it's just not right. It's crazy.
Mike?
Yeah, what I can add on Kalani Hako'i, my understanding, or our understanding from KCA, is the land was owned by a local family for decades. And then another entity came in, a gentleman from the mainland, I forget his name now, but he came and talked to us, and he bought into it, seemingly thinking he could develop it. And we explained to him about the flooding issue, and he talked about, well, they had rights, but we said, well, Public Works had told us, the different directors over the years, that there's no way we're going to give them a permit to develop in there because it's going to flood. And Public Works then pressured it was a team of owners, but the guy from the mainland became the spokesman. And his point was, well, I put a lot of money into this. And our answer was, well, but you made a mistake. You came in and bought something you didn't
know about, and you won't be able to develop there. So then, yeah, that's what he came up with. He wanted $1 million, and we went to the administration, and they said, no way, we're not gonna spend that kind of money, because you can't build there, so why are we gonna buy a headache? And then he was seemingly kind of stuck, and then Public Works was pressuring them to, you have to take care of that, that's your land, you've got to clear it out. The silt is building up higher and higher, as we know. And the answer was, we can't afford to do that. So they said, well, you better do something, you know, you're responsible for it. So somewhere along the line, Peter Savio came in and bought that property with the intent of developing it, and he went in and did some grubbing and grading, and Public Works then said it was a violation, and they posted the violation right up there for the public to see, to stop him from doing that. But he still talks that he's going to develop that land, and of course he also owns he bought the other land from the Fong family to develop down there. So again, it's these people coming in, and we're going to do this, but past Public Works director said the same thing about that one. We're never going to give them permits in it. They were trying to build, and Savio's answer was, well, I'll build on stilts. You know, I'll build it up. And they said, no, that's you just don't do that. You can't build there. So now we're kind of at this stalemate where I expect that Savio would sell it to the county for his price. And then you get into that situation where they hold the threat, we're going to build there, but to me as a layman, I don't think that they'd be able to. I think Public Works would say, we're not going to give you the permits. Whether you've got the entitlement for planning is one thing, but if you can't get the permits from Public Works to proceed, it seems like he's stymied. But, you know, I say he, but, you know, it's a big corporation. They have a lot of money, and they can hold on for a while. So that's my understanding of that, the background on one, and then the second one was pretty quick, that Savio went to the Planning Commission and said that he wanted to build there, and there was massive number of testimony against it from citizens group, and also professionals. Amanda Cording testified. Somebody said to her, well, if they built there, would you purchase a home there? And she said, no way, why would you purchase a home there? But the planning commissions had one person who said, I know somebody there, and it doesn't flood too bad, so they extended the SMA permit, just said go ahead. But again, it's still, Public Works seems to be the impediment that they couldn't develop. But it becomes a financial issue. How much is the public willing to pay to stop it from the possibility of it developing? Mahalo.
Good, Brian?
So I have to apologize, I'm maybe still a little confused. If they're not able to get permits to build, I still don't understand why we would purchase it. It seems, if our policies say they can't build and they're not going to get permits, it seems odd to me that we would fund to buy something that we're going to protect, which is great, but I'm just not making that connection. So if somebody can help me, it's...
So for one thing, there's what Mike was just saying about the Planning Commission. You know, we don't control everything, so things could change. You know, in 2 years, maybe the new appointees in the Planning Commission could say, go for it. That's one. The other one is there's much better uses for these properties. I mean, like I said, KC has been working for decades to try and make that a greenway so people can walk from one side of North Key to the other, and all the way across under the highway, and then be able to use the Mauka land also for recreation. So that would not interfere at all with its use as a gulch. As a matter of fact, it's part of Amanda Cording's proposal. So those are two reasons anyway. we don't have a motion, so if no one makes a motion, it fails. It falls anyway. Motion by Mike.
No second.
A second.
I'll second it for discussion.
Second for Daniel, by Daniel.
Okay, I won't repeat everything I said before, but I think one of the reasons is what Rob mentioned, that things change. A different public works director comes in and decides, yes, we need affordable housing, so I'm going to let them build there. Or the planning commission has, from my point of view, for years, the personnel changes, but they still seem to approve more things than they don't. It's more like, well, we need the development. There's the different sides. One side comes in and said, these are local people are the builders, the workers, and these guys need jobs, so we're going to approve it for that reason. And others are more like environmentalists are saying, this isn't the place to build it. We have plenty of land along the highway. Build up there. Don't build in these areas that are dangerous. And particularly, it seems that the attitude is, well, these are going to be affordable housing, so it's almost like, well, it's okay for the poor people. We'll stick them in there in land that's dangerous, that's fire prone or flood prone. So that seems to be the going back and forth. But that's how I feel about it, that it would be money well spent. And I'll give one other example to my friend sitting diagonally across from me, that was one portion of land that the county did agree to purchase in South Maui, was that plot on South Kihei Road. And it was empty for years, and I think there were 4 plots of land, and KCA continuously asked administrations and different council members to purchase that land, so we didn't build it. And 3 of the, if I'm right, there was 4. 3 of the plots did end up getting mega mansions built. And there was 1 left, and the owner of the bakery in town owned the land, and my understanding is he went to the then mayor and said, I would be willing to sell this to the county if you can come up with a negotiable price, and they did. And it was going to be a parking lot for the park, because it was adjoining land to the park. But a couple of local gentlemen said, we would like to clear out this land and do a project in here to restore native plants. And they have been doing it for years. And Coco did a presentation for KCA, showed what he had done down there with a spectacular PowerPoint. And that's on the KCA website if anybody wants to see it. But if you want to talk to the man who's doing it, who's down there 3 or 4 times a week, fixing the land and teaching the youth. So if you want an example of what can be done if the county says, I'll purchase this piece of land, and how you can improve it, that's a sterling example of it. Okay, too much talking.
First Coco and then Brian.
Go ahead. No,
So thanks, Mike. I guess if I recall correctly, didn't we write a policy that stated that affordable housing would not be built on wetlands? So I guess I just want to make sure we're connecting all the dots by what we're proposing, because if we wrote a policy to state you can't do affordable housing in wetlands or flood zones, or I don't remember the exact verbiage, it seems like we're almost kind of looking to spend money to buy land, but we're writing policy that states they can't develop on it. So I guess it's not connecting to me, because if we're writing the policies that are preventing what others are trying to develop, is anything counterproductive? Now, if the answer is that we want to build on it and do restoration, things of that nature, I think that's a different argument. I just want to make sure that we're clear that if we've written policies that we think, or suggesting writing policies that support the non-development, I wouldn't use that as an argument to why we should be purchasing it. we want to purchase it because we want to make it more green space, that I'd be more in line with. I want to make sure we're clear on why we're making the recommendation for spending money.
Yeah, the proposal is actually designated as open space, protected lands in perpetuity. Coco?
I think that I'm just kind of wondering how certain it is that, you know, those properties are protected, you know. I feel like if the county, that area that the county purchased, that it is protected under the county. But when it's not purchased, then it's kind of like, you know, I always kind of worry that that somewhere down the line, it can be up for grabs, you know, and you know, Mike is right. We wouldn't have had the opportunity to do what we've done. I remember same thing, noticing all those lots empty and then slowly getting eaten up one by one. And as soon as we heard that that parcel was purchased, we were able to come in there and make our plans for that area. Even though we've been coming to that area a long time, but that's my concern. You know, I know that we're kind of at the same goal, going after the same goal as protecting these wetlands, but what is the sure thing? You know, it's the thing that I'm kind of worried about, concerned about.
Daniel?
I have trouble with the language, with the wetlands. What if we say explore, someone brought this up, I think maybe Karen did, explore the feasibility of purchasing flood-prone parcels such as TMK, blah, 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 something like that. Purchasing flood-prone parcels such as and the rest stays the same. The county will do that anyway. You know, if they have money, say an open space fund, and there's opportunity to purchase one of these properties, and if it's feasible, then they can do it. If it makes sense, right?
So do you accept?
That's my little motion to amend.
Do you
That's
accept?
my friend.
Mike accepts that. Brennan?
If it's open space, right?
It says open space, protected lands in perpetuity. Brent, yes.
Quick question, and I'm looking at this just from a business perspective, that if my parcel was listed, I'm gonna net the price right up. So is it advantageous for us to list them? Because me, I'd be, if my intent is, hey, I have property, you're interested in it, I'm not gonna give it to you what I paid for it, I'm gonna look for a profit. So are we potentially endangering how much money we end up spending? Because obviously if it's feasible and all that, I just asked that as a question, is do we want that listed, or is it something more general that we explore opportunities where, to Daniel, what you're saying, feasibility of purchasing flood zone prone areas, something of that nature, but not listing specifically what they are?
So Wayne first and then
Mr. Chairman. You know what the problem with this? We have this every time at a meeting. Everyone wants to play attorney. And you bring up good questions. If we only had a corporate counsel here, they're getting paid, bring them here. to answer the legal questions and see what we can frame in language. How about at planning department? Where's an attorney? Everyone wants to play attorney.
Do you want to answer that, Karen?
Unfortunately, the corporation council, like the rest of the county, is understaffed right now. So asking the attorney to be here every Wednesday is not possible. It's also a very high ticket item for the attorney to come. This is not a legal question, Brian's right, it's more of a business question. If you do name the parcels, it's more likely that they'll be like, yep, raise the price. And he is a businessman.
Everett?
I think it's okay to leave the TMKs in there because it's not, it doesn't matter what the owner says the price is of what the owner wants to sell it for. It's based upon appraised value. And I think we could probably get a better deal if we put in there purchasing under the threat of condemnation. No, because it serves the owner well. Because if you sell under the threat of condemnation, there are some tax benefits. You have a much longer time to exchange into something. So it's advantageous for the owner if it's done that way.
Mike, had a comment?
Yeah, I would just add that with the two parcels that we're looking at, Peter Savio was certainly aware of the situation. It's not like all the ones he's going to be made aware because the TMK is up there. He's aware of the situation. He knows that he's been cited for violations, so he's certainly aware. I don't think that's going to alert him that he would know to raise the price. He's aware of it, right? That's my opinion. Thank you.
I think that the purpose of listing them is because there's already other action happening. There's a bunch of letters and there are people working, there's committees and things. So this is just saying we support that. Further discussion? So was that an suggestion for an amendment to put in under threat of condemnation?
Friendly amendment if Mike accepts it.
Okay, under the threat of condemnation. Okay, further discussion? Is that okay, Daniel? Yes, it is. You blinked. Okay. Further discussion? Any objections? I'm going to adopt this additional action item. Can we do one more and then we'll finish this section and then we have a break? Okay. There's one more that was proposed by the Ma'alaya Village Association. Since this is a section talking about restoration and it calls out specific areas. They say that they're also currently pursuing sand dune preservation at Haycraft Park and Ma'alaya Bay Beach. Please include that in this section. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe Keoki would make a motion there to just...
This was one of the... Haycraft Beach was one of the actions you guys listed at a previous meeting. You guys did some A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K actions at the February 22nd meeting.
Yeah, we already, this sounds eerily familiar.
Okay, so it's a...
Yeah, we already...
Okay, in that case...
Language and everyone, yeah, we adopted it, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
In that case, 5-minute break, is that enough? 5-minute break, okay. Back at 6:35.
Casey, how are you?
Good, how are you? Welcome back. I've heard of the circumstances, sorry to hear that.
It's adulting, as I say. Yeah, but anyway, all is good. Yeah, you're okay?
What is this? Did you guys have a couple of
Yeah.
Whenever you're let me
We're up 15 copies. Otherwise, they said it would be posted. It was more so just robbery, except how, you know, adding how to mount those and accessible things. Our testimony was more about just there's ways to fund things like this. So it's
Because it supports him and it also. Yeah. Are you sticking around a bit? Or?
for a bit.
Level the trees.
Can you hear me now?
I was kind of wondering, kind of like, okay, so why weren't they able to communicate what they're talking about? The NGOs or the, because I really knew they were really taking
I walked through there with water up here.
Yeah, crazy, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's very simple. That's probably the reason. Probably would have to be higher.
yeah.
But I mean, obviously, they're part of the
Fire Valley, showing, look,
Yeah, because I mean, they're supposed to build years.
Yeah.
You know, even if it might be, it might help, like, I'll put on a yes hospice here. And the future is just more that. I think we said, okay, let's figure it out. And I understand the USDA will hold that, but I'm sure you can figure it out. Yeah. So, I mean, agree with Larry.
Yeah, did Larry talk about the work that Louis is doing up there? Well, you know, they have a contract. Then back from the sides of the goat, the deer from turning up the dirt, making it real easy to get the goat. And then planting the sides of the goat, so there's something to catch, like, you know, these areas of rains and all the, there's something to catch and say. Let's go through this stuff. Because what you're gonna do on the pool of, they own all the way up to nothing. So that's helpful. Really? All of a sudden, you see a radical kind of thing. Is it what nature would do? Is it what God would do?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. I have a feeling you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I know. I'm gonna ask. Do you know what the setback is for an ocean front property in Coolau?
Every week.
What's the ocean front setback typically? Or does it matter what? Does it matter during day?
You mean from the ocean?
Like to build a house, so there's a lot that I'm looking at in Coolau. And there's ocean front. I'm wondering, again, I can't find the setback.
There is a few sentences, and then it doesn't do justice because you need to frame the discussion correctly and put it in context.
It's R1,
Usually
R2.
like,
Is that what you
understand,
mean? I think
it's not usually like, 6 feet in front, 15 on the street, in the rear, 6'6", 6'50", I think you'll be supported.
Yeah, I saw somewhere 25. That's what's throwing me off, 25 feet
You signed up on the,
from ocean.
SRF,
Not street from ocean. So that's why I was like, what? I don't know if it's right. I know you're long-term. You're long-term planning, it's okay.
That's the more current.
I know.
Let's see how it ends up being. But I mean, you know what it is? Yes, that's true. There's an equilibrium point. If you tell the local from me, but you gotta pay rent. So let's look at this. Nothing is happening because people don't have $30,000 to put it on. So while we're talking, debating about this.
You think Garrett knows?
I don't care where the money comes from.
I'm gonna go ask him. He should know, oh, sorry.
Okay, it's fine to see. Everybody, it's fine to see. Everybody who's on the committee, at least.
Do you have any more, or you have
No, I gave out 15, but I did leave a copy. Maybe
Okay, perfect.
Okay, reconvening at 6:37 p.m. And the next one is 4.13. Develop a mitigation plan for repetitive loss and severe repetitive loss properties within South Maui. That includes raising building, elevation, relocation, floodproofing, transfer of development rights, or buyout. Is there a motion? Motion from Toa. Is there a second? Second by Mike. Discussion? We don't have a whole lot of those, but we do have some, especially in North Kia. That just seems like a bad idea to have properties which you have to rebuild, and then they get flooded and they rebuild them again. And you have to pay for it and rebuild them again.
Chair, our planners aren't here.
Pardon me?
Our planners are not here. Let's see, we had a motion, did we get a second?
Yeah, fine.
Mike, okay. Discussion? Brian?
I'm going to get back on my little thing from a couple weeks ago, which is it's great to develop a plan, but if you don't implement the plan, that doesn't do you much good.
So you're proposing develop and implement?
Correct. So a friendly amendment would be to develop a mitigation, or develop and implement a mitigation plan.
Tova?
I am not opposed to that, as long as it makes sense from a planning department standpoint, because I guess I'm not clear. So this is an action requesting that the county develop the plan, but I'm wondering whether the implementation would be incumbent on private residences and residents will. And so I'm not sure if you could implement, if you can say implement, because they would have to come, I don't know. So planning, a clarification would be super.
Brian, where were you proposing the development implementation part?
We're in 4.1.3.
No, I think that's fine.
Amendment accepted.
And Mike accepts too. Okay. Garrett.
I just want to double check. So, so who first and second? First and second, right there.
Discussion? Any objections? We have adopted 4.1.3 with the addition of and to implement. 4.14, proposed amendments, the Maui County Proposed amendments to the Maui County Code Flood Hazard Ordinance to implement more strict NFIP substantial improvement regulations for properties in the SFA, the substantial flooding hazard area. Is that what that stands for? Good. Including modifying the time frame to 20 years to make it more difficult for older improvements to expire and no longer count towards the substantial improvement timeline. Karen, you want to explain that?
Thank you.
It's a mouthful.
Currently, I believe it's 10 years that you can, so if you have a flood hazard and then you modify your house and then you have 10 years before those improvements like phase out for reconsideration of doing more improvements. This actually is to help us with our flood. It should make it so that we get a higher flood rating from the National Flood Program. So the more strict National Flood Insurance Program, substantial improvement regulations. So like if you have a house in the flood zone and you're like, I want to expand the kitchen and build a garage, and that's $250,000. After 10 years, that $250,000 phases out and it's not seen as having been done. So then you can do more improvements on that property. So this is extending it so that you can't keep improving your property.
Just clarifying, so that relates to flood because improving your kitchen would...
Because you're doing it in a flood zone. So then this is in the flood zone you get insurance, and then you're using that insurance. A lot of the properties that have filed for National Flood Insurance are repetitive loss properties. So they're filing more than once.
I move to approve.
Okay, motion by Everett. Second by Tova. Discussion. Brian?
I guess I'm questioning the word propose amendments. Would we not need to identify them first, or are they identified? I guess I'm just questioning the word proposed.
I'm pretty sure this is a Maui County, this is the Department of Public Works needs to propose those amendments. One of the amendments that is identified is including modifying the time frame. So there's one amendment identified, and then there's regulations that identify more strict regulations, like nationwide, to get a higher flood rating. So it's saying, let's try to get a higher rating. We want a better grade. Study harder. Just kidding.
I'm trying.
Daniel?
This may be a stupid question, but why do we want a higher flood rating? What's the benefit to us for that? Is it a money benefit? I'm not sure. Grants?
I think there's more grants, and the flood insurance, I believe, is lower for the people who are buying it. Some of the improvements to the flood hazard ordinance would also move things more out of the wetlands and have lower impact development as standards. There's standards that has been supported through you guys that would be part of that.
Okay, I feel less dumb now. Thank you.
Is there any more discussion? So, Brian, are you proposing to change that, or are you okay with the wording now?
I'm fine to keep it if everybody's okay with it. I just didn't really understand the word propose. It would seem that we more want to identify and then propose versus, I just didn't know I don't know who was proposing, so I was just looking for clarification.
Karen?
You could say identify and adopt amendments to Maui County.
I like that. So a friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment. Tova, Mike? It's Everett, okay. Okay. Identify and adopt amendments. For discussion? Any objections? Okay, adopted with that change. 4.15, coordinate with Maui County Floodplain Manager to pursue funding opportunities from organizations like FEMA's Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Program for community-wide flood mitigation projects and support implementation of nature-based solutions to enhance ecosystems and reduce flood risks. And on that one, Robin was proposing to add natural infrastructure, as we did on other similar actions. Do you have a motion? Moved by Everett. Second by Toba. Cody?
Can we add include instead of support?
It's okay with Everett? Okay with Toba? Do we want to add natural infrastructure like we did in the other sections earlier? With the explanation that was given to us at that time, that the difference is that natural infrastructure means using existing things rather than building things which are good for nature.
I'll make that friendly amendment to add natural infrastructure.
Everett accepts. Tova? Okay. For discussion? Any objections? Okay, adopted 4.15 with that small addition.
Rob, can
Yes.
Can I propose a very similar, almost identical to 4.15? Instead of saying the community-wide program, community-wide flood management program, just to say a pilot. Basically, this is really good, and this would be great if we could do this community-wide, but I would like to encourage a pilot program, just Malcolm Mackay flood mitigation project. Just pick one gulch and just prove that it can be done work out the funding bugs on a smaller scale, and then go to the, I look at it as kind of a stepping stone to the community-wide solution.
If you can formulate that.
Yes, okay, let's,
It's coming up already. Magic.
great, amazing, it's amazing. It just
think-
reads
you
my
think
mind.
it's there.
Terrific. Yeah.
Blowing right.
And if we can keep Cody's language that include implementation. Oh, you got it, got it.
So that was a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Brian. Discussion. It's always good to start with a pilot project.
Your Malco de Mackay piece, I think, is kind of key to have in there.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Yes, Brian.
To go on Everett's statement that he was making, do we also want to put something in around to identify either, I could use different language, but obstacles or challenges in the resolution of those to be the project forward? Again, I'm kind of not saying those are the right words, but. I think I was looking at it from a slightly different, so it's identify and implement the project plan or the pilot, but then I think we need to report back on what happened in the pilot and learn from that so that we don't keep repeating it over and over if it didn't work.
So identify, implement, and evaluate.
I think it's more than evaluate, it's
Just put in do the kind. The kind.
the word's not coming to me, but it's okay.
Is that good to you, Everett?
Yes.
Okay. And who seconded that? Was it Brian? Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay, discussion? Any objections? Okay, we added another action for the pilot project. We talk about this one. Okay, well, we talked about that one. Okay, and the next one is also hazards. 4.16. Leverage existing erosion and sea level rise studies to develop and implement. Implement's already there. Localized beach management and coastal adaptation plans. And then Mark Dicos had a comment. A managed retreat needs to be called out explicitly and prioritized, or South Maui could end up like West Maui in 10 to 20 years. Mark's a smart guy. Tova?
I motion with the addition of, at the end, including managed retreat.
Second by Kyoki. Okay. That's it. Discussion? Cody?
Is there any way to include traditional studies as well, traditional practices that are considered studies like Kilo Aina, because I think it's very valuable that for those studies that are done when someone comes into the areas and does a study compared to those of those who are actually there on the ground all the time. I think it's very valuable as well. So I'd like to include some sort of language that refers to Kilo Aina or Hawaiian traditional studies. Maybe leverage existing erosion, sea level rise studies, and Kilo Aina.
It's okay with Tova. And who was seconded that one? Gilkey, okay. Okay with you. Discussion? Any objections? Okay, we have adopted Part 16 with that change, with those two additions. Last one in this topic, topic 4. Prepare an overall improvement plan for county parks that includes a description of proposed facility improvements and approaches to reducing the environmental impact of park facilities. And again, here I had the comment that this should really be in the park section, because parks, that's where parks is going to be looking. Not in the, they're not going to be looking at the climate change part. Do I have a motion?
Motion to move this to ready and resilient. Is parks under that?
Yeah, so this is under resilience, but I think it's better under parks.
Yeah.
Parks is in the safe, healthy, livable communities for all?
Yes.
And
Thank you.
would you also like to make a motion to accept the language or just move it there?
Ooh. For now, just moving into parks.
No, I don't want to have to reopen.
You guys want to work on it now? Oh, okay. So, move the parks and accept this language so we can get a second and discuss.
Yeah, there was a motion, second by Brian.
Thank you.
Brian?
I'm going to go back to my staple of we need to implement. Just preparing a plan doesn't do it.
Gilkey, is that okay with you? Prepare and implement? Yeah. Okay. Discussion? Objections? Vernon?
Anybody can chime in. Just wondering what is like improvements and approaches to reducing the environmental impact of the park facilities. Like, I just thinking what would be environmentally impactful to the parks facilities? Would be like be homeless? Would that be flooding? Any idea what that means? I just like know what that means. Environmental impact of park facilities. So, just asking.
Karen looks like she has a thought.
So the good news is the planner that helped write this is now a part